Hi guys, and welcome for this new episode of EatTheBlocks. And today I am interviewing Raman, who is the creator of CryptoJobsList. He's a software developer who switched to entrepreneurship a couple of years ago, and he has done many startups, but now he's working on his job board. So hi Raman.
Hi, Julian. Thanks for having me. Really excited.
No problem. This episode is brought to you by EatTheBlocks Pro, my private membership website with a ton of exclusive video on smart contract, Solidity, and Dapp programming. So Raman, would you mind introducing yourself to our audience and explaining what's your background?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm Raman. My background is mostly software engineering. I used to be doing that for probably over 10 years now, and been working in different companies in different countries, anywhere from the US to Singapore. And about a few years ago, I decided to leave my kind of corporate job and start shipping new software and kind of my own products. And kind of eventually ended up starting CryptoJobsList last year. Shall I go into a bit of story, how did that happen, or?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, so that was kind of an interesting point in my kind of career, is that some of my previous startups failed, and I kind of decided to put a pause on them. And around summer last year, in 2017, I was literally looking for a job, and kind of crypto was booming, and I was aware about it, and I was really wanting to build something on top of Ethereum and kind of experiment with new technology. I was really seriously looking for a job, applying to different crypto exchanges, to different protocol companies. And at a certain point of time, I was thinking there's all those jobs were scattered all around the websites of those particular companies, and you could not find one location with all those positions to apply to, right? And it's kind of funny. Everything, this decentralized world, but one centralized location was lacking. If you would go to Indeed or LinkedIn and you search crypto, you will find all kind of very old school, very corporate positions. They're not going to be blockchain related. So I just had super low expectations. I thought that I should start this list and listing out all the positions that I find that I was applying myself to. But I was thinking that that's surely it's gonna fail as well, some of my previous startups. And I having those low expectations, decided to not spend too much time, not to over engineer the kind of the software behind the job board, and just spent 2 days developing the very first version of it. Kind of launched it in beginning of October last year, and from there on, kind of people started paying more attention to it, and someone posted a product hunt. And from there on, it kind of took off. A few months in, some companies started asking how much is it to post a job, and more and more people started visiting.
Oh, so that's
from there, it took off. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So basically, you're saying that the moment where it really started to take off is when someone posted on Product Hunt.
So sort of. That was kind of unofficial launch that when it was public, because I think first week or week and a half, I was just sharing on my Facebook. I was not promoting it that much, but after a friend of mine was very persistent and very convinced, okay, I really want to post this. So okay, sure, go on. And from there on, I kind of took it a bit more. I still was expecting it to die off fairly quickly, because I don't know, when you have very high expectations for any of the projects that you build, they're not necessarily end up kind of as successful as you want them to be. So I really had this timeline that I will spend 3 months on this. If it doesn't work, I will just move on to something else.
Yeah, you wanted to limit your risk, basically. You wanted to try and just not invest everything in it.
Yeah. I think one of the main lessons that I learned from my previous projects that I was starting is this sunk in cost fallacy, right? Is when you, especially if you're an engineer and you really want to build something nice, something well structured, tested, polished, etc. You kind of invest a lot of your soul and energy into it, and the more you invest your time and effort, the more precious this baby becomes. Even though if it's not actually working in the market, in the world, but you still kind of feel attached to it, and you invest more and more to the point where it's kind of not necessarily healthy. But so yeah, I was trying to avoid that kind of.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that, because especially as a software developer myself, I think software developer there's a huge trap for developer who want to start their business, in that software developer in general are very perfectionist.
Oh yeah.
And so often, like when they try to launch something, that will focus so much on all the details and try to make sure that it's so perfect. But actually at that point, what they don't realize is that unconsciously what they're doing is really procrastination. They think they're working hard on it, but it's actually in a very subtle way, it's procrastinating. And they are not sure if this is really valuable, and they're doing some sort of optimization, but at this stage is way too early. And so,
Yep.
so constantly you have to remind yourself, what is the core value of what I'm doing. And also doing my a blockchain school with EatTheBlocks, I realized that it doesn't matter if things aren't 100% polished, especially at the beginning, because the kind of people who will start using your product at the beginning, they're much more tolerant than the kind of user that will use your product later. So
Yep.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like especially early adopters, like you better be solving a problem that is so painful to people that even if your like design is not the most perfect and something that you're not necessarily most proud of, but the problem should be so huge for your early adopters that they want to use your product anyway.
Yeah. Like, so it's interesting that you're doing this, because actually, when I first got into crypto a few years ago, I was considering doing what you're doing now, but I chose,
Interesting.
yeah, but I chose to do blockchain education instead. At some point, I was like thinking, oh, should I do both at the same time? But I was like, no, my attention is going to be too scattered, so I choose not to do the job board thing. But at that time, I think I sent an email to a couple of job board that seems to have some traction, and because I was actually wondering if I could buy one of them, and one of them at the time, he was for sale, and he quoted me something like 100 Ether for his website. So at that time it was like 500,000 US. And that was really insane, because that was no revenue.
Okay.
That was just a lot of traffic. But yeah, so in the end,
I probably know who that is actually.
oh really?
I'll not say. I'll not say. We can get off record.
Yeah, interesting. But
Yeah.
but I've noticed at that time there were different kind of job board on crypto, and some job board they try to be extremely innovative, like they try to get you to absolutely be paid in crypto, for example, and use MetaMask. So I don't think these are really going in the right direction, because like they're making it really hard to use. Other like yours, they focus just on the fact that that's a job board just for a blockchain company, but they don't try to be sort of crypto innovative in itself. So I think that's smarter.
Yeah, I think it's quite requires a balance. Like I really like the ideas of integrating more kind of industry specific features, like ensuring that, for example, employer has enough funds, and maybe having some smart contract where it kind of stakes some of your funds so that potential employees can like have higher trust in a certain employer and things like that. Like I too, honest so far haven't implemented any of those things, but like I feel it's important to how to put like not to over engineer, not to build like technology for the sake of it, for the sake of the technology. But kind of looking forward, like I'm definitely quite interested in kind of implementing things that are kind of crypto industry native and utilizes blockchain as well.
Yeah, like for example, like I've noticed you have some filters. Well, I mean, this is not 100% crypto specific, but there is a filter for remote jobs. So I think a lot of developers in the crypto space, they're quite sensitive to this, and I think in general, crypto companies are more open to this. I really enjoy this on your website. I'm actually wondering something. How does your website makes money?
Right. So currently it's a pretty basic, simple model is companies pay a fee to list, and we have like several tiers. Like they pay extra for being featured, and we kind of put more attention to them, like advertise their listing on like weekly basis on Twitter, make more shout outs on across social media, like feature them in a yellow color on top of the website. I try to provide more personal support basically right away, and so it kind of higher chances of them landing the right candidate.
Okay, so it's like per job ad basically. Have you explored like selling them a membership, like instead of paying per job, that they will pay like for
Yeah, I've been considering like different models, and like haven't kind of put all of them in production just yet. But like I just kind of still researching and evaluating what's the best way. So far, it seems kind of the industry standard to charge per listing instead of the membership, and I haven't seen that many very successful job boards that offer membership. But it's I think it's important to, how to put it, like I really value simplicity and kind of consistency.
Yeah.
And like very, very clear cut, like what do you get and how much you pay, without providing too much confusion. And like I really want to make it very simple for companies and for anyone to make a decision, to make a buying decision. So kind of that's where most of my decision making starts from as well. That's how I optimize those things. But I definitely like always welcome feedback and fresh ideas around how I can price or communicate in a way that is both beneficial to both companies and talent that is applying to jobs.
Yeah. And another thing I'm wondering is, how do you promote your website? Because I think in your business model, it really relies on a lot of traffic so that candidates can click on the ad and send their CV.
Right. So I think like it's different main challenges. Like one of them is obviously Google, and SEO is pretty important. And I think the other one is kind of social and just like word of mouth. So like people like you who just reach out, who like know my story and they decide to share it, and like it's actually quite a lot of that. Like people on Twitter that know me personally, that seen the website, they're inspired by it, they actually helped those people as well in the past. So they're really excited to share it further and to see other people being successful, finding jobs or finding great employees by using the site. So they just kind of share the love, basically. And quite a bit of kind of attention and traffic comes from that. Quite a few media mentions, but they're also, all of them are primarily organic. So like just somehow reporters from like either CNBC or like Wall Street Journal was like last a few weeks ago. They just discovered my site and like reached out to me for some comments, and they would mention it in their articles.
Wow, like it's pretty cool that you can get so much help from other people. I think that's a quality that's gonna help you a lot. Like when you're a founder with a company you just started, you may not have a lot of capital, but if you're good at like reaching out for help, then it can help you tremendously. Another thing I'd like to talk about is the blockchain job market in general. So you who have a really good visibility on the job market on blockchain, how do you see the situation now?
Right. So it's a pretty hard question, I have to say. Unfortunately, it's not as hard. It's not as. I mean, I wish the market was as hot as this question is. So basically, obviously, there is quite a bit of correlation between kind of the price and kind of the status of the hype, so to say. So back in December and January, when the price was like 20K per BTC, like there was way more kind of attention, just people creating noise around it, around jobs, and everyone wanted to like. Oh, way more companies were hiring. Way more companies were hiring for anywhere from like developers to marketers to community managers. Even companies who do like just community management. There was like a lot of companies who do community management for like ICO projects. They themselves would hire community managers from us, for example, right? And obviously way more people would be interested in the industry. Right now, since the price is a bit lower, so there's a bit less hype, but what it actually means is that there's less noise, right? So there's fewer people who are in the industry just for a quick gain, and people who are still around, those who are applying for jobs, those who are hiring, they're the ones who really understand the core of the technology and who are here for the long term. So even though it might seem that there is like less, I mean, the decline in the kind of the quantity of postings is not like significant. Like it's maybe like 15 to 20%, right? But those 15-20% represents all the people who are just like heard about Bitcoin and blockchain a month ago, and they bought their first coin, and they're like 16 years or 18 years old. No disrespect to young people, there are like a lot of crazy talented individuals out there, but like the situation right now in the market is, I'm very, very optimistic and like excited about it, because it's actually way easier to hire the right person, and as well as to get a job if you're that right person in the company.
Like another way I like to think about it is in this period of when we have a little bit more difficulty. If you are one of the developers who are able to have some staying power and you don't quit at that time, it's also going to make the difference in the future between the one who are able to make it through this tough time and who are able to accumulate this experience, and those other developers who just jump on the latest technology but never stick to anything, aren't able to build any significant expertise.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'm not sure whether I explained clearly, but like when companies going through the resumes right now, they have fewer resumes to go through, but the kind of signal to noise ratio is way higher. So all those resumes, they're way more legit. And for you as a developer, if you're even like non-technical talent who looks for a position in a blockchain company, it's still easier to get noticed, because all those people who are like random, their resume is not even on the hire manager's table, so you have fewer competition, and it's way easier for you to get in the right company, in the right position. So it's like win-win for both sides of the market.
It makes sense. Another thing I was wondering is, which kind of blockchain technology has the most demand?
Okay. So it's a range. So from what I see right now, it's obviously Ethereum, Hyperledger, quite a bit of EOS. EOS been in the past year very, very active with their development, with their community support. Some Komodo listings as well. What else? Cardano guys are hiring pretty actively. That's the most up top of my mind, so to say.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. And so Ethereum definitely top of the pack. It's also interesting for the enterprise blockchain, because I think it's not something that we talk about a lot, but it's also sort of a hidden part of the job market. And also I was wondering what kind of programmer profile is interesting for companies, and in particular, are they looking more for web developers who have some experience with the API of the blockchain, or are they looking more for sort of a core developer who can develop the blockchain technology themselves?
It's a good question. So it's quite a range, to be honest. It's like, I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there is that you need to be like crazy cryptographer with like PhD and 10 years. Of course, there's space for that, but still, it's anywhere from just traditional web dev, from like mobile developers. There's quite a lot of opportunities where those companies, most of them are startups in one way or another. You would need to develop like a mobile wallet or a web interface for their app, for their solution, and kind of it progresses all the way to like very in-depth researchers who do like scalability research, people with cryptography background. Those positions would probably be like either in the protocol companies or enterprise banking, security. Like a lot of banks are considering that for storing clients' data, etc. And you need to encrypt it correctly to comply with a lot of regulation, etc. So it's quite a range. It's anywhere. If you're just out of the college and you have maybe a few years in web development experience, there is place for you. There is opportunities for you, as well as for those who have PhDs in cryptography. There's a very exciting time as well.
That's interesting for people to know, because a lot of people who are interested by blockchain, they are a little bit afraid that they need to be some crazy top level cryptographer or mathematician, and that they will have to actually build the blockchain. But it's actually only one part of the job market who actually need this. There is a whole other place for other people who have like web development skills.
Right.
Also, in terms of programming language that are required to find a crypto job, do you have any recommendation?
Right. Well, it's kind of very linked to the previous question that you asked. It really depends how technically sophisticated the position is that you're going for. Um, a lot of positions that I see, especially those that like interact, like they're not core developer positions. And when I say core developer, it means kind of blockchain level where you're dealing with consensus algorithms, when you're dealing with encryption for everything kind of that interacts with an existing chains, DLTs. A lot of positions that I see there like require some knowledge of Node.js, JavaScript. Quite like Python positions would probably be kind of same level, same tier.
And then you have,
Well,
I saw some job ad with a C++ mention.
yeah, those usually when you're kind of closer to the core, when you're dealing primarily like some kind of things with the chain. A lot of exchanges obviously hire C++ for their matching trading algorithms.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually quite a few outside of exchanges and like core companies, quite a few hedge funds and just like investment firms. They're looking for developers, and they're primarily either C++, C Sharp, to work on their trading algorithms.
Actually, talking about this, I'm quite surprised not to see many Rust jobs. So Rust is like this new sort of new C++. It's used in the parity client of Ethereum.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be the future of C++, but I don't see yet a lot of job ad for this.
Yeah. Okay. So the way it works, I was just about to say. So we did have Parity List with us, I think, end of last year. So I was talking to Gavin and a few other folks there. So the Rust community is like very Berlin focused from what I see, and they kind of on Twitter, and I sometimes like help them and retweet their Rust listings. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's very tight knit community. They are obviously very welcoming, and but yeah, they do not. I don't actually see their listings that much on any job boards at all. It's just like word of mouth, it seems, in conferences. So I'm like very excited about those guys who do Rust.
Okay, interesting. I had no idea that it was like sort of localized in Berlin. I thought it would be more just global. Yeah.
Well, so at least I mean, party engineering team is like mainly Berlin focused. Berlin and like I think some people in Poland and quite a few probably in London. And kind of a lot of them, from what I see right now, they are kind of in that neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, I see. And then the next thing I'm wondering about is what is the future of the blockchain job market, and what is the future? What do you see for the future of CryptoJobsList?
Right. Well, it's a big question. So I kind of my slogan is don't just hodl, build. So I really encourage like for anyone who's like invested and mentally, most importantly, in crypto space and see this as being the future. It's very important not just to like buy and sell and trade and speculate on price, or even invest for long term, but most importantly, you need to like contribute with your intellectual capacity and help support the industry in any capacity that you can. If you're a developer, please build, please provide, develop new apps, solutions that help take this mainstream. If you're a marketeer, please help sell and explain how this technology will help to kind of average consumers, kind of help cross the chasm for this technology to be mainstreamly adopted, and just make sure to apply to jobs. And I think, look, I mean, kind of obviously the market size for jobs will be growing, and it will be more and more welcoming for like a full spectrum of kind of talent, anywhere from traditional to.
And I believe that the demand for Ethereum developer will grow particularly. I think that the target of the Ethereum Foundation is to onboard 1 million developer. And just to give it a little bit of context, I think it is estimated that globally there are about 30 million developers. So
Yep.
what 1 million? I mean, it's like a significant chunk of them. Like now we probably have hundreds of thousands of developers on Ethereum, and a good way to have an estimation of this is to check the download numbers of popular packages like Truffle, for example.
Yep.
I think they just hit a 1 million download like
Yep.
1 month ago, something like this. Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
yeah.
go on.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, and how about the future of a crypto job list? Are you thinking of new features or other related project that you want to work on?
Right. So I just want to keep things simple and just help as many people as possible. And so like if you guys have, if the audience has ideas around how to kind of simplify it and like reach a broader spectrum of people, make it, be able to cater jobs better, reach more companies and help them hire, that would be best. So I just want to keep things as simple as possible. What else I'm trying to do? I'm trying to help kind of more hands-on to kind of companies that are really need some like special dedicated help with getting the right talent and for exceptional talent to help them as well reach those companies. So sometimes that kind of requires some like personal introductions. So I'm kind of been doing quite a bit of that lately. What else? From kind of technical product perspective, again, I want to keep things as simple as possible on the surface. Maybe there will be something interesting coming up in 2019. We'll see.
Okay. So maybe a surprise.
Yeah. We'll see. So like, you have to like subscribe to the newsletter, follow us on Twitter, and like you will be in the know what's happening. Maybe we'll like add you to beta testers early on.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's always like I believe that experimenting is pretty important, and I try to dedicate some time to it. But as all experiments go, like 90% failure rate. So like I need to be churning out a lot of experiments. Most of them will fail anyway. But maybe like 10 or less percent of them that will stick will probably be valuable for people, and it will help people find jobs better, more right jobs, find the right salary, get and retain the right talent. If you're talking about companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited to be here. Like, I really enjoyed the conversation, and I really like if the audience has like questions for me, please follow me on Twitter. It's Exciter. I think there'll be in show notes, I hope.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I'll put your Twitter handle. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure to follow us like on CryptoJobsList Twitter as well, and like newsletter. Yeah. I try to respond to as many people as I can. So like DM me, ask me questions, or add me in public questions. I'm always happy to help. Apply to jobs.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Raman, for showing up for the show, and thank you for providing jobs to us. Huh?
All right, sure. Thanks. Excited to be here. Thanks, Julian. Yeah, make sure to follow Julian's developer advice. Subscribe to his courses. Invite him to conferences. Very important.
Yeah, it's not me who say it. It's Raman, right? So
yes, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Raman.
Yeah. Thank you, Julian.
Bye, guys.